and we're going to do the sports radio thing that we have to do, really. I do think it's a real question. We'll open up the phone lines to this as well, 916-339-1140. Call line, text line. Most fourth quarter points last season, DeMar DeRozan, 550. De'Aaron Fox, 538, which begs the question, game on the line. We saw De'Aaron in these situations. Obviously, it really doesn't feel like De'Aaron had that great of a fourth quarter season last season, but I think it was because of how great he was the season prior, getting that clutch player of the year award. But maybe we don't have to do this. Maybe we do. At the end of the day, does it matter based on who's hot? Does it matter based on who's been rolling? Who's taking that last shot?
I mean, it definitely matters who's rolling and who's got to go on that given day for sure. But I would say DeMar. I mean, yeah, I think we asked this question when the reports initially came out, and yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's. I don't want to say it's not much of a question, but to me, DeMar has just been doing this longer and has, frankly, a wider bag of shots that he can hit. Like DeMar can hit turnaround jumpers. He can back people up and post them up and then, take his turnaround. He can get to the rim. He's a bigger body. I just think DeMar is the guy, and I don't really have much question about it. I think De'Aaron is great. He obviously showed that he can hit some big time shots, but if we think about the shots that De'Aaron was taking a couple of years ago when he won the most value or whatever, the clutch player of the year, it was a lot of threes. It was a lot. I mean, there was a half court shot from against the Magic. Occasionally he would get to his little mid-range jump shot and hit that. But I think that DeMar is just more seasoned at it. And I don't want to call it luck, but I will say De'Aaron probably got the benefit of a couple shots that don't usually go in for him going in during that season. So I'm not saying De'Aaron's not clutch and De'Aaron doesn't have it like that. I just think that DeMar is the best that there is. And De'Aaron is probably in that next class of guys, but I just think DeMar is in a class of his own.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And as you see the interaction between De'Aaron and DeMar yesterday during the Nothing Like Us situation, these are clearly conversations that I can tell you right now, my guess as to what De'Aaron Fox would say is basically a version of what we're already saying. It depends on who's rolling. First of all, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. Second of all, it depends on who's rolling and what makes the most sense. And from DeMar's perspective, he's there to hit those shots, but also to help get De'Aaron Fox to that next level. So I don't think it'll be an issue. I think you might see, let's say the first week, there's a close game. I think you might see some clunkiness, but I feel like it'll be figured out fairly early on, depending on how many close games they're in. So, and even if it's not necessarily the last shot, but hey, who's going to close this thing out? I think we saw a version of it with De'Aaron and Malik. And Malik Monk, when he was going, it would be Malik. Malik has some game winners, some game tying shots. So I don't think that will be an issue. I think the outside perspective and media and fans, they might have some question marks on it, and they might have more thoughts on it than the actual players. But I don't know that it will be a huge issue.
I wouldn't think so. No, I mean, like you said, it'll probably be something that takes a month or so to kind of hammer out. And, there'll probably be a game or two where there's an awkward moment where, one guy, it's like the Mike situation where he's passing it back and forth and back and forth. But at some point they'll figure it out. I mean, De'Aaron seems more than willing to sacrifice if that's going to be the case. And DeMar definitely gives off vibes of somebody who isn't super selfish about it either. Of course, it's something he can do and has done, but I don't think he really takes ownership of it and says like, this is my time. How dare you try and step on my time? I mean, again, we had Will Gottlieb explain to us that he had Kobe White in a situation where they allowed Kobe White to take the final shot, and DeMar, instead of being bitter, instead of being like Scottie Pippen and saying, why did you draw up that play for Tony Kukoc?
Right.
He said, okay, Kobe, I'm not sure how the result went of that play, but he broke it down with him and understood like, hey, even though this usually goes to me and it went to Kobe and it might have not gone how it should have gone or how it would have gone if I got it, let me help this kid out. So I think that DeMar definitely gives off vibes of someone who just doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. And I think ultimately that's going to lead to them being incredibly successful. But you did kind of touch on something there too. Malik Monk is also somebody who gets fourth quarter clutch touches.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that is more. De'Aaron is always going to. De'Aaron's still the head of the snake. He's still, this team goes as far as De'Aaron takes them. He was always still going to get those shots. Maybe now Malik doesn't get those shots. And we kind of talked about it yesterday. And I think we'll talk about it in a bit here. If Malik isn't starting and then isn't getting his end roll, that means that there's a lot of value in that in-between time. And so do we have to make sure that Malik isn't forgotten in those situations? That could be maybe where we see this really affect itself, and not necessarily with these two top guys who are already elite at this. It might be the guy who is new to this, but starting to kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah. In these big three situations, right? And I know they're not a big whatever. Someone, or whether it's a bonus or not, somebody got to sacrifice.
Yeah, 100%.
Somebody has to sacrifice. You're bringing 24 points per game to a team, and DeMar DeRozan, either he's gonna have to sacrifice, and hey, you're gonna be more around 18 to 20. Somebody has to sacrifice. I'm not saying it has to be Malik Monk, but the way math works, it has to be someone, and it probably will be the guy that's not starting if that ends up being Malik Monk. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Dwayne. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Dwayne? What you got for us?
Hey, what's good, fellas? I got to say, when you get a DeMar DeRozan, you can't be unhappy because you got a star. You got a bucket machine, right? A legit bucket machine, right? But what's up with all these guards, bro? I mean, I was going a whole nother direction with this. So what I want to say is we're almost like the 49ers now. We're not addressing the needs that we need to address, which is wingspan, length, defense, shot blocking, and attitude, bro. And attitude. We've been saying this for a year, and it's just not getting done. So the next move has to get something done along those lines, bro. Or I'm gonna look at Monty, because we look at what the Pelicans do to us. We got to address that. We look at what Dallas did. They added length with PJ Washington and the other guy, and went from a 5 seed to the finals.
Gafford, yeah. But Dwayne, what about you're bringing up attitude? What were you going to say about attitude? Because I feel like DeMar DeRozan does help that at the very least a little bit.
He might help a little bit just because Sacramento hasn't had that at all. We got no guys that's going to just be loud and get in somebody's face, man. We got a bunch of nice guys who are going to look around for the next guy to do it, and then we're going to get pumped. We're going to get bullied in the fourth quarter like what happened last year, man. So I got to go to work, man, take care of my kids, but let me know what you think, man. Y'all have a great day. Love this channel.
Hey, pay them bills, Dwayne. Pay them bills. Thank you. Appreciate it. So that's one thing I haven't really thought about as far as the dog factor. And obviously there's clips of DeMar getting chippy. Do they still need to address it? And in the next segment, in about 6 minutes here, we're going to move towards what else the Kings need to do. But I didn't really think about it like that. As far as the guard thing, and I told you, a lot of people are very confused on what DeMar DeRozan is. He's played 2, he's played 3, he's played 4. And to that point, I think we were talking about in the crosstalk, they're getting smaller wings. They're getting there slowly but surely, Chris. They got Devin Carter, who's a big guard.
Yep.
Now you get DeMar DeRozan, who is a small forward. And you're just trying to move forward to just getting a legit big 4, and what is available out there. We'll talk about the Walker Kessler of the world, who obviously is a 5, but there are questions coming out about what he'd go for. But yeah, as far as the dog thing is concerned, I do think you can do it in different ways. And I think last season the Kings just didn't have anything. They had no stopper when the teams went on runs, and they had no dog to say, we're not going to be disrespected like this. Whether or not you think that DeMar DeRozan is a dog in that capacity, he's a stopper. At least he can get a bucket and slow down runs. The Kings, they had a lot of issues last season. So you're not going to solve them all in one move. But I do think that the DeMar DeRozan move does solve some of the more pressing issues, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, leadership and just overall tenacity and shot making ability and having another playmaker on the floor. Absolutely. There's a lot that he definitely covers up. And I feel like, it makes me wonder. I know JaVale said, I think it was to the drive guys. It's tough when your enforcer is 6'2", and he was talking about Malik. I wonder what the line is. Is DeMar big enough to be this team's enforcer, or do they still need to bring in a real forward, a power forward, or a center that kind of brings that edge? Because, I think that part is still missing a bit, but I think to your point, DeMar definitely does bring an edge and a bit of tenacity. And, I think a bit of what everyone wants isn't even necessarily a dude who's, well, maybe they do want somebody who's going to get in people's faces, but I think the thing DeMar brings that is very dog mentality-esque is every single night he wants to win. And I think that's a part of it too, is I think people say they want a dog because they're seeing just the complete opposite. They're seeing guys who sometimes on some nights look like they don't care, look like they're not giving their 100% effort. And I think they want it to manifest itself in, if this guy's angry and getting mad and chirping, that means he's invested. It means that he's emotionally tied to this game. And I think that's something you never have to worry about with DeMar. So I think he answers that in the sense of every single game, you're going to see DeMar DeRozan fighting tooth and nail to try and win the game. I think you pointed out yesterday, or Whitey tweeted, you pointed out Whitey's tweet about DeMar DeRozan in that fourth quarter against the Sacramento Kings when the Bulls were down. I think he said double digits.
Yeah.
And DeMar, what did he do? He didn't give up. He said, okay, time to put the backpack on and carry the team. He went 7 of 7 in the quarter. You're going to see a guy who brings it every single night. And I think that will alleviate some of the dog problems that fans want.
That's exactly where I'm at with this. You can still get a dog. I'm sure one of the Morris twins is available.
Sure. Oh, they definitely are.
But I don't think that you were going to get an all-encompassing player that was going to solve all of your issues. But again, this does solve one of the issues that the Kings have had. Coming up next, what else do the Kings need? Okay, we open up the conversation. We'll play a game of open door or closed door. Getting DeMar DeRozan, does this keep the door open for certain players, or does it close the door for certain players? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The NFL's